We're in need of a great debate about the future, and we want everyone in the world to take part in that debate, and we want no questions excluded. The question I would ask is, why do we still permit advertising which tells people that they're not okay as they are unless they have a Mercedes? Because if they can't have a Mercedes, they're going to feel they're not okay. And so we have all these people who are geniuses who don't know it and don't know that they really are being kept down because they're easier to sell to.
We're in need of a great debate about the future.
And today you can't tell the world that people are geniuses, because how do you get geniuses to line up and be sheared like sheep? We are kept unhappy because unhappy people are easier to sell things to, and that has to stop.
Don't let the now destroy the forever.
But in the end, it always works out some way or another. And there's another line in the movie I think is important. When you leap into the unknown, you prove you are free. So don't be afraid of the unknown. The unknown is what they want you to think is unknown, but it's not so unknown. We are great. Flavia.
You know, my grandma, which was was Italian, always told me this.
Yeah, Flavia.
She picked my name,
So there are three of you.
Yes.
like a school group.
Yes, like this.
Yeah, I like the socks. Look at the socks.
We're matching. We're having matching socks.
But are yours the same?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I always said life's too short to match socks.
Who says we have to? They're always telling us what we have to do.
Yeah, who said?
Yeah, I'm in charge of myself.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I have my Jaws socks.
You have, oh, your jaws. Dum dum. Dum dum. Are they
You
both?
walk in
Are
it
both
and
jaws?
Yeah, they're both Jaws.
Why don't you have?
We are not that cool.
Why don't you have one Jaws socks and one Star Wars socks? Or
My Star Wars socks were in the washing machine.
but you could switch them.
So yeah,
too?
I missed that.
You know, there's a line in my movie: when you leap into the unknown, you prove you are free.
Yes.
So leap into the unknown in terms of your socks, and then get in the habit of leaping into the unknown, and then you'll prove you are free.
But that's what you do a lot, isn't it?
That's what, unfortunately, that's what my style seems to be.
Sorry to interrupt. You're at reset. We can start.
You're not interrupting, you're getting back to the known. We're in the unknown.
There's still so much to accomplish, but is there time? Go.
Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis.
By the way, talking about, the unknown, you're telling yesterday how when you imagined this film and you started thinking about it, you didn't know how it would be about our current days. You know what I mean? Like New Rome is New York, but it's also, actual New York today, America today, and it's about also politics, a very political film. And how do you relate to, Politico nowadays makes the film
Yeah.
really.
I don't think it's political, I think it's parapolitical, because politicians are, just whether in America today, because America was based on Rome. So in the Senate, in Rome at the time of when it ended up with a king, there was a lot of money going into Rome, and so the senators were more concerned with how much of it they were getting and what their privileges were. In America today, the same thing is happening. There's a lot of money in America because we know there's been a worldwide inflation. But one of the countries that have handled the inflation best has been America. So there's a ton of money there. So they're more concerned today with their money and their power than they are with their job. Same as so it's very possible that what happened in Rome, which is they got rid of the Senate and ended up with basically a king, could happen in America.
Yeah.
And then if that happens, America in the world is sort of like Rome in that they used to say about Rome, all roads lead to Rome. Well, after World War II, all roads led to America.
Yeah.
So we have the same situation, and the question is what will happen. I don't know.
Well, we didn't learn anything.
We never learn.
Does anyone here have children?
Not yet.
Cats.
Dog.
See?
Nephew.
Well, I mean, I only ask because, you know, it's the children who are going to get the mess.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be us. It's going to be my children, not even my children, my grandchildren, and now I have a great grandson.
It's like in the movie, right? At the end, is the children. Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, I love the children. They are the future, and they're so bright, and we don't even ask their opinions of anything. Although I heard today that in Brazil, 16-year-olds can vote.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
But they can drive.
They can't drive, but they can vote.
It's better voting than driving.
So talking about the future and legacy, we see the movies. You were talking yesterday in your conversation about cinema, about how Apocalypse Now got the years in favor of it, so people could see it and the movie could grow. And the movie never leaves public consciousness. Same thing with Godfather. Same thing with Dracula, your most famous movies. And I was talking to some friends about movies that we cannot see today if you don't have them on physical media, like Cotton Club or Peggy Sue. In Brazil, you can't watch these
There's
movies.
a new version of Cotton Club that's really wonderful. It's got 30 minutes put back.
Oh my God!
It's called Cotton Club Encore, and it works so much better.
Yeah, in Brazil, we don't. Physical media is pretty much dead. And I was wondering, Megalopolis had its run on the movie theaters, still running all over the world. But we don't have the push of physical media to assure this legacy in the future. And streaming services, for me at least, they're kind of weird. We never know what we're going to find or when we're going to find it.
Yeah,
or
there's
anything.
something other than streaming, which is a sort of pay-for-view.
Yeah.
And that's the hope of how people. Also, my hope is that a few theaters somewhere, like in America, there's going to be one theater or two theaters in California, one theater in Detroit, one theater in. There'll be always a theater where it's always playing somehow, and I guess pay-per-view is. It's not streaming is just home video.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new about it except that they figured out they make more money selling subscriptions than selling. But Megalopolis won't be available on a subscription. It will just be pay-per-view.
And how do you see the legacy of cinema in a grander scale in this future with all these different platforms?
Here's what I feel. I feel. We all know that life is made of sort of a form of respiration, that there's winter and everything dies, and then spring everything's born, and then it goes through summer and then winter everything dies. Or even we humans, we breathe in and then we breathe out. So there's always this cycle. So it is logical that even great things will die, but they will be reborn in a new form. And right now, in the time we're sitting here, two wonderful things are dying. One is journalism, and one is the studio system of movie making.
Yeah.
In the case of journalism, you realize that's happening because now in journalism they talk about unnamed sources say that so-and-so did this terrible thing. They don't say who the sources are. The other thing they do is they definitely put headlines that get clicks.
Yeah.
So because they're trying to survive. But journalism will die. But journalism is too wonderful to stay dead. It will grow somehow, some other way. It will. You have to have faith in a new way. Also, the studio system is something, and it's more than just the Hollywood studio system, because the German silent movie was a studio system. It was UPA, and in the silent era of movies, the people always ask me, what are the 10 greatest movies ever made? I say, ask me the 10,000 greatest movies, because there were many masterpieces made in the first year of silent movies. So the studio system is dying, and that's happening because the people who run those companies and control the train tracks, and I'll tell you what I mean by train tracks, they have only one job, and that's to be sure they meet their debt commitment. In other words, if you're running a company, you will make a lot of money, but if you fail to pay your debt commitment, you're fired. And the train tracks are, like when I was a kid, I went to high school in a trolley car, Santa Monica Boulevard. And they took it away, but they took the track out of the street because someone wanted only buses to work on it. The tracks are the most important thing. One of the tracks in Hollywood are the rating system, Rotten Tomatoes, the cinema score, all the stuff that tells somebody in Florianopolis whether or not they're going to see a movie. It has only one star, I'm not going to go see that movie. So those are the power that the old system has, but it's all dying. And I believe, so the reason I ask you if you had kids, because I am sure that the children's movies that come are not going to be anything like the movies of today that they want you to be addicted to. They make you think that if the movie you go see is not like our Coca-Cola that we're offering you, then it's not a good movie. And an audience, and many of the critics believe it. But cinema does not stay the same, and the movies of your grandchildren, I can't even imagine what they're going to do, but I know it will be wonderful. And there will be journalism, and maybe some new kind of studio system. Have faith in that, because imagine if you were early mankind and you saw everything died, you'd be so scared, but there was spring. And that's the wonderful thing about our Earth. It is our mother.
And Mr. Coppola, now the Megalopolis is ready to hit cinemas worldwide. What are you going to do next, since you said that retirement is not an option?
Well, I want to make a movie that's fun, please.
So come to Brazil.
I'm gonna, I just lost my wife of 60 years, which is hard to do because she was my best friend, and I used to love to talk to her in the morning and ask her what she thought, and so I'm going to go live now a little bit, the only place I never lived, which is going to be in London. And you live in London? Yeah, well, I don't know London very well. I never lived there, but I never lived with her there, so it's not the first thing is where is she, But so I would like to make a film that's inexpensive and make it in London and Italy. I have an Italian passport, so I can get it. I have no more money left because I put it all in Megalopolis. but then after that, I have, I always make movies that I abandon. Like I was going to make Megalopolis, and then I just said, oh no, I can't do that. I'll make something else. And then I abandoned the something else. I said, well, Megalopolis I make. And so I did. So the one I abandoned after Megalopolis is called Distant Vision. And that's a big one. And I have no idea where I'd get the money to do that. But I figure, who knows, something will happen. And
but the small film is about, it was set in London.
the small film is actually a musical.
And it's a small film.
Very small. I'm going to do it all on Super 16, and the opposite of Megalopolis.
I like it.
Throughout your career, you were a director who pushed buttons and defied the system and did things the way you wanted to make things. And that's why your career is so brilliant. Do you see that drive in someone today, in today's cinema? And is it possible for someone to have that drive in today's cinema?
Well, my own children understand that cinema should be personal.
Yes.
So, and that is the rule. My granddaughter just made quite a success in San Sebastian Film Festival with a film called The Last Showgirl. But there are so many brilliant. We're surrounded by the young generation, are so talented, and they do things differently. And for me, what I ask for most from the new cinema is that it invites me into a world that I would never know, and to meet people I would never know what they feel. So people like Sean Baker,
Yes.
or who made Swiss Army Man?
Daniels.
The Daniels.
I mean, those are insane movies, but I feel like I was invited to see something I would never see and I would never know, and that is thrilling. But we have other great filmmakers who, as they get their status, like what's his name, Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve,
I mean,
he's
he
great.
clearly can, let him make what he wants to make, whatever that is. I want to see that, and I'm sure he will.
And
But
also
the-
women in film.
well, the many women that didn't, that we didn't have. My teacher was a woman. Her name was Dorothy Arzner, and
she was great. She's the best.
she was great. No, of course, Sophia, it was a new, but there's Jane Campion, and young, I don't even know, well, Tamara, what's her name, Tamara, made the Slums of Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's all this new talent, and I just regret that it's so hard for them to get a little bit of money to do what their first film, what they want to do. There's a great Haitian woman named, did you ever hear of a movie called Freda?
Yeah.
You heard of Freda by Jessica Genius from Haiti? It's wonderful. I put my name on it to try to get it a nomination for the thing, but there's so many. I mean, she's great.
Can you talk about a little bit about Curitiba, because we are so, surprised that you know so much about, Curitiba.
Well, when I was preparing for Megalopolis, I went to many places where I heard there was utopian-like ideas, like in Portland, in America. I heard that the buses were free. If you lived there, anyone could just get on a bus and go anywhere they want. I said, that's a sensible idea. And I went to a place called Acrosante, where I thought there was very innovative ways of controlling the climate, which didn't use power. But the most impressive experience I heard about a city in Brazil called Curitiba that had, because a committee of young people, of architect stuff, were going to meet to discuss what Curitiba needed in the next 20 years when it had more people. And one of them, a man named Jamie Lerner, became the mayor. And so they not only proposed things, they did them. And among the things they did was figure out a way to get the favela, which was there, to sort the garbage by trading them food, vegetables that the vegetable company wasn't going to do anything with. And to this day, Curitiba is still the highest rated city for sorted garbage, but also it needed a rapid transit system, which was going to cost $400 million, which of course they would have stolen half of them, which is what happens here. And he did it for nothing, just by a very inventive system of using it, how the buses work. As I don't describe how it works, but it was very brilliant with those things that lift them up. And also he turned the toxic areas into festival places, and then one day he just opened the streets and made them I thought of him today because I was in traffic for half an hour to come hardly anywhere.
São Paulo is a dystopia.
And the Curitiba, the streets of cars aren't allowed to this day.
Yeah, in the center there are walks,
Yeah,
sidewalks.
they're all walking, and he did so many things that I have to say that my character Caesar is really got a little bit of Jamie Lerner in him. He became the governor of Paraná, and wanted to be the mayor of Rio de Janeiro, and had some well-needed solutions for Rio, which he told me about, and which sounded so smart, and Rio didn't. Rio still suffers from the problems it has. So anyway, yes, there's a lot of Jamie Lerner and Curitiba in Megalopolis, and I'm happy to be here so I can tell everyone what he did. He's passed away now.
Yeah, everything. well, we have to wrap, isn't it?
Who says so? I can stop
She
time.
told us.
I can stop time.
Please do.
Please, Mr. Coppola, stop time.
I stop time and you can ask more questions. But
But don't you want to ask a little about?
do you have any questions more?
Yeah, I do. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I feel like at the end of the day, Megalopolis is about independent thinking. Do you agree?
We're in need of a great debate about the future, and we want everyone in the world to take part in that debate, and we want no questions excluded. The question I would ask is, why do we still permit advertising which tells people that they're not okay as they are unless they have a Mercedes? Because if they can't have a Mercedes, they're going to feel they're not okay. And so we have all these people who are geniuses who don't know it, and don't know that they really are being kept down because they're easier to sell to. It's easier to, I was very curious of why no one has ever said publicly the human family, the human species, which has only existed, Homo sapien, has existed 300,000 years, are geniuses. Why has no one ever said that? And it turns out no one ever said that because you get in a lot of trouble if you said that because of the church. And there was a guy named Pico de la Mandola who in 1400 said just what I'm saying. The human being is a genius worthy of being, and he died at 31 because he had implied that there was someone greater than God, And today you can't tell the world that people are geniuses, because how do you get geniuses to line up and be sheared like sheep? We are kept unhappy because unhappy people are easier to sell things to, and that has to stop. Even an artist, I would never get money to make a film. No one wanted me to make Apocalypse Now. I just found that I had made it. I own Apocalypse Now, but only because nobody wanted it. And I own Megalopolis for the same reason, but in the end it always works out some way or another. And there's another line in the movie I think is important. When you leap into the unknown, you prove you are free. So don't be afraid of the unknown. The unknown is what they want you to think is unknown, but it's not so unknown. We are great. So that's...
You are great. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Lord.
so
We
much.
are all one family.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And we need women to be more politically important because they are better at running the world than men.
I agree.
I agree. I couldn't
I
agree
agree.
more.
Couldn't agree more.
Because women are life givers. They understand what human beings need. They need water, they need safety, they need, all the things that the earth is a woman.
Whoa.